All right, so let's continue with this part 2 in the video of price optimization. So we calculated the marginal cost. Now I will double click on the different calculations just to make sure that you have the opportunity to see you have done them correctly, all right? So here what we want to do is to calculate the marginal contribution. We can also take a look at the numbers, right? And remember the rule. As long as marginal revenue is higher than or equal to the marginal cost, the company should continue, now in this case of perfect competition, they should continue to produce and sell more to the market. So by just looking at the number, we can see here what is happening. The marginal revenue is higher than or equal to the marginal cost down to a production of 8, which was also the solution before. From that point on, we will start to lose money, right? Because the marginal cost is higher than marginal revenue. But what we do just to make sure that we have this right, we calculate the marginal contribution. So we say the marginal revenue minus the marginal costs. Now we have the formula. We double click and copy, and you can see we have a positive marginal contribution down to a product of 8. You will always find the same conclusion, whether you use the total method or the perfect method on the same example, all right? So you're not getting different conclusions here. So let me just make that clear. So what we want here using the marginal method is we're not going for the highest marginal contribution as long as we contribute positive to the contribution. And we do that as long as the marginal revenue is higher than the marginal costs. Leave out the marginal. As long as revenue is higher than costs, we make a profit. That makes sense. As long as we do that, we should continue, in the case of perfect competition, to add products to the market or to produce more and take the extra sales. We cannot change price within perfect competition because the market has set the price. So this is how we use the marginal method. This was example perfect competition. Now let's jump into how would it look like if it is monopoly or monopolistic competition, all right? So what you see is changing here is that now the price is changing. And we see this negative correlation between price and production. So if we increase the price, in this case with 10, we lose 1 in sales or production. So every time price goes up, sales goes down. Price goes down, sales go up. So there is a negative relationship between those two, at least on normal goods, all right? So this, by looking at the numbers, you can see we are now talking about monopolistic competition or monopoly. So, but basically the methods are the same. So what we see here, calculate the revenue. This is the total method. I know there are some Danish writings here that I forgot to erase, but don't worry. So calculate revenue, price multiplied by production, and double click for copying. Let me just erase that. So we calculate the contribution, we have the revenue, and we subtract the variable costs. 0 activity, 0 contribution. We double click, and when we take a look at this, where we find the highest contribution, this will also be where we find the highest profit because what we subtract are fixed costs, right? So it seems we have the highest contribution at a price of 120 and production of 106. Let me just double check. Yes. So, but let's just in case calculate the profit. No contribution, but fixed cost of 100, we have a negative profit or a loss. We double click and you can see, yes, here we have the highest profit. So at a price of 126 in production or 6 in sales, we will find the highest profit. This is where the company should set its price and sales. So the overview that I was talking about before was that the company, as an assumption for making these calculations, that the company has full overview over the correlation between price and sales here. That can be very difficult for companies to have, but nevertheless, we set that as an assumption. So that was the total method. Same example, let's calculate it using the marginal method. Starting by calculating the revenue again, price multiplied by production, sales, and we double click for copying the formula. So here we start by calculating the marginal revenue. So the change in the revenue, and I need my brackets, sorry, the change in the revenue caused by a change in production. Yes, and I will double click. So here you see in the case of monopoly or monopolistic competition, the marginal revenue is no longer equal to the price. So now we have in this situation here, we have that this price sales function and graph of a company will be a down go forward slope when you look at it in a graphical solution. All right. For monopole, we have the slope of the graph will be a little higher than if we look at the monopolistic competition. All right. So let's calculate the marginal costs. So we start by finding the difference in the variable costs caused by a change in production. Double click. All right. So same rule here. As long as marginal revenue is equal to or higher than or equal to the marginal costs, the company should continue to lower the price and take the extra sales, because there is this relationship between price and sales. The lower the price, the higher the sales. So as long as we have that situation, the company should continue. So let's take a look here. Let's calculate the marginal contribution. So revenue minus costs. All right. So what we see here, again, same conclusion on the two methods. Because we have a positive contribute to the contribution all the way down to a price of 120 and production of 6. Okay? So you will find the same conclusion using the different methods. So if you have a case and you are not told to which method to use, then you have freedom of choice to choose the method you prefer. So here again, we are not going for the highest marginal contribution. We are going for, as long as it is positive, we should continue, because here we contribute positive to the contribution. So take a look at the different calculations. If it was a little too fast, you can press pause and do the calculations. And we will talk more and go deeper in the calculations and the use of price optimization and what other things the company should consider. Because the math might give you a solution, but where you, with your effort in understanding the company, the brand, the market, would say, well, I could lower my price this much, but that would really damage the whole set up the whole marketing mix of my product, what kind of a product I am looking at. So this is one criteria that the company could look at, but there are certainly more factors that the company should look at when setting and trying to optimize profit with setting a right price. So see you in class, and where we will talk more about this subject.